I'm doing is legal. This is why I believe I'll receive justice in the higher court.
Gets hit more to right and right center than the left. Oh, it is good! He did it! He did it!
It doesn't matter what your background is and where you come from. If you have dreams and you have goals, and that's all that really matters.
But there's only one Usain Bolt.
I owe, a lot to Charlie.
The freedom of expression that the entire world could see.
When you black, it's not a movement, it's a lifestyle. This is who we are.
Ever since I was younger, I've had a lot of media interest on me, and I think it's because of my background as well as, how I play. Because in the first place, I'm a tennis player. I would say in that regards, I'm quite different to a lot of people.
Naomi Osaka is many things.
I think she's an amazing player. I think she's got the head, heart, and guts together.
She is the most successful Asian tennis player in history, and proud of her Haitian roots.
It's my father's homeland. It's also half of who I am.
She plays bombastically on court, but speaks in hushed tones often.
Somebody I've been watching lately and really excited for is Naomi Osaka. She seems like a really cool, down-to-earth girl.
She's unafraid to stand out, but suffers crippling shyness.
And the winner of the Laureus World Sportswoman of the Year award goes to the incredible Naomi Osaka.
She is a millennial icon, but also now a powerful figure in the civil rights movement. She's one of a kind.
I don't really think too much about my identity or whatever. For me, I'm just me.
Naomi Osaka!
One thing that has remained consistent in Naomi Osaka's life is an ability to play incredible tennis.
First of all, she hits a heavy ball. She can hit anything. And if she really wants it, the sky's the limit, beyond the sky, to the moon and back, or the world. No, she's an amazing player.
She turned professional shortly before her 16th birthday, but it wasn't until the 2018 season, age 20, that her career took off. She began the year ranked 68th in the world, but ended it in the top 10 with the Indian Wells and U.S. Open titles on her mantelpiece. And it wasn't just any old U.S. Open title. It was secured after one of the most controversial finals in the tournament's history, against an enraged Serena Williams.
The thing is, I'm not really sure what happened between Serena and the umpire. And I keep getting asked questions about it, but I'm not too sure. But for me, I don't know. I think it's still a win, so I'm just going to count it as that.
2019 brought another major title. So did 2020 and 2021. As women's tennis contemplated the post-Serena era, Osaka offered the most compelling all-round case to become the new dominant force.
Naomi's a pure ball striker. When she's got time to set up, particularly after her first serve, she's one of the best kind of first serve, first strike players I've ever come up against. And obviously on the hard court, there's not a lot of variation in that bounce. So she can set up, trust the bounce and really swing through her line.
Osaka appeared to slip seamlessly into Serena's shoes, not only as a tennis player, but as a powerful voice for athletes of color. She demonstrated this most eye-catchingly at the 2020 U.S. Open, where she appeared on court for each match, wearing a different mask with the name of an African-American victim of police or racist violence in the United States. And she explained she was done being shy. And it contributed to her being named the Sportswoman of the Year.
Thank you so much, and I'm so happy to receive this Laureus World Sportswoman of the Year award. And I know that for me, I've watched so many of my role models winning this award growing up, so it definitely means a lot to now be holding it.
Naomi Osaka was in the spotlight on and off the court. But that isn't always where she wants to be.
You guys tell me this, like, top player, whatever thing, and I never, like, see it like that. It's really weird. Like, I don't know, I still feel like Indian Wells was, like, 2 weeks ago. But, like, 2018 Indian Wells, it's really weird.
For all her talent, Naomi Osaka has never given the impression she's comfortable with the status that accompanies it. She's not a merciless competitor in the Serena Williams mold, nor an all-weather results machine like the men's Big Three. And the losses and the attention they bring clearly hurt.
I guess just before everything, if I lost, it wouldn't be an article. And now if I lose, like, there's news, you know? So it's just, it was tough adjusting to that.
Acutely self-aware, Osaka is her own harshest critic.
I don't necessarily like watching myself play because I do notice that, like, my attitude is down, and I know that people don't like to watch people that are so negative, and that's sort of my main thing too.
In a previous era, the difference between an athlete's public and private personas would have remained mostly hidden from view. But in Naomi Osaka's world, there is no escaping the glare of publicity. When she tried to sidestep her media duties at the 2021 French Open, she was swiftly fined and threatened with further punishment. She responded by withdrawing after the first round to safeguard her mental health. It was a courageous and controversial statement.
I felt like it was something I needed to do for myself. And more than anything, like, I felt like I holed up in my house for a couple weeks, and I was a little bit embarrassed to go out because I didn't know if people were looking at me in a different way than they usually did before. I don't really know how to describe it, but I kind of had to get over the feeling of people's gazes feeling a bit different to me, but at the same time, I started to tell myself that it is what it is. Like, I did what I did, so I can't really change people's perception on me.
There's this culture of, you know, the athlete should be able to handle anything and everything. If they can handle the pressure of a US Open final or a Grand Slam final, then everything else is easy and it's simple. And that's just not the truth.
I think the biggest eye-opener was going to the Olympics and having other athletes come up to me and say that they were really glad that I did what I did. So after all that, yeah, I'm proud of what I did, and I think that it was something that needed to be done.
The reality is that people don't understand that the athlete experience is not just on the court to play or the field to play, that it involves a lot more outside of the court of play, and all of that can play a role in one's mental health and mental fitness, if you will.
Osaka's return to the spotlight could hardly have been more dramatic, lighting the cauldron to confirm the opening of the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games.
Lighting the torch and stuff like that, it was fun for me, and I definitely think it'll be like a really big memory for me. My Ojichin was probably like yelling at his TV when it happened, and I feel, I don't know, it was definitely surreal. I had to do a rehearsal the day before, but it felt very top secret, so I didn't know I was the first tennis player to carry the torch, but definitely that's something that I'll remember in my heart.
The Games were confirmation of Osaka's status as a Japanese superstar, despite not living in the country since she immigrated with her family to New York at age 3. It was the moment that will define her career. It is impossible to foresee where such an idiosyncratic and thoughtful individual will go next. Still only in her mid-20s, Osaka has years of top-level tennis ahead of her and the game to create a CV to rival any in the sport. While she does this, she is certain to continue blazing a trail in her own unassuming fashion. She has already broken taboos on the discussion of mental health, broached challenging conversations on athlete engagement with the media, and shown leadership on the most important social issues. There is surely more to follow.
It would be really cool if I could like draw that line and be able to be like a robot Superman that could be like go on the court and focus just on tennis. But no, I'm the type that kind of focuses on everything at one time, and that's why like everything is sort of muddled to me.
Naomi Osaka is many things. Combined, they make her one of a kind.
Blacks have been dehumanized for a long time. To see a man go to jail for killing a black man should not be significant, but it is. I guess in that way, you know, we're coming a long way, but we still have a long way to go.
As the 21st century entered into its third decade, and the United States was forced to confront inconvenient truths, Doc Rivers held court. Rivers earned his status as a man worth listening to through 13 years playing and over 20 years coaching in the NBA. Approaching 60 and celebrated as one of the wisest figures in his profession, Rivers used his media profile to speak beyond basketball at a time when leadership was sorely needed.
I think we all have weaknesses and we all need to confront them and find out how we can make this place a better world, a better country.
Glenn Rivers was a standout point guard at high school and college, rising to represent the USA at the 1982 World Championships. It was at Marquette University that he was bestowed the nickname Doc after he turned up at practice wearing a Julius Dr. J. Irving t-shirt. He went on to enjoy a solid professional career with the Hawks, Clippers, Knicks, and Spurs, peaking in 1988 with an appearance in the All-Star game. He made much more of an impact as a head coach. He was named NBA Coach of the Year after his rookie campaign in charge of the Magic. 8 seasons later, he was a championship-winning coach with the Celtics. Between 2000 and 2021, Rivers only failed to coach in the playoffs on 4 occasions.
I don't get lost in the minutia. I don't get lost in what position guys play. I look at how many points we score as a team. I don't care how we score. You know, my teams have always been very good offensively, in the top 5 overall, and we score points. And we score points in a lot of different ways.
The Clippers were the 3rd of 4 organizations to hire Rivers, and in 2014, he coached them to the Western Conference semifinals. It was his first season in charge in Los Angeles, but it was overshadowed by the spectacular fallout from the Donald Sterling affair. Sterling, the longtime franchise owner, was recorded making racist remarks. Rivers promised to quit if the situation was resolved to his satisfaction, but he was never forced to act on his words because former Microsoft executive Steve Ballmer purchased the franchise a few messy months later.
Sometimes you do have to take a stand, and there's nothing wrong with that. I didn't think I was going to have to, honestly, but I think a lot of us would have been willing to, for sure.
With his profile and credentials established, it was no surprise to find Rivers standing alongside NBA players 3 years later when they vented their fury over President Donald Trump rescinding the Golden State Warriors' invitation to the White House. It set the tone for a more visible and more combative public presence. Rivers understood it was his time to stand up and be counted.
The reason they're protesting is because they think there's injustice and there's prejudice and there's bigotry, and if Donald Trump did his job, players would not be kneeling, you know, at the end of the day. Because I don't think anyone wants this country to do poorly. We all are cheering for this country to do well, and so do your job, and players will stop kneeling.
Players did not stop kneeling. Divisions widened. Anger in minority communities increased. And then, in May 2020, George Floyd was murdered in Minneapolis by police officer Derek Chauvin, and the tenor of debate nationwide gained urgency. By August, and the shooting of Jacob Blake in Wisconsin, leading athletes had had enough. The Bucks led a wildcat strike during the playoffs. The Lakers and the Clippers voted to cancel the remainder of the tournament.
We all hurt. We all tired of just seeing the same thing over and over again, and everybody just expect us to be okay just because we get paid great money. You know, we're human. We have real feelings.
The events coincided with the Republican National Convention. Rivers was furious. Barely holding back tears, he told the press, "All you hear, Donald Trump and all of them talking about fear. We're the ones getting killed. We're the ones getting shot. We're the ones that were denied to live in certain communities. We've been hung. We've been shot." He was talking from experience. In 1997, Rivers' house in Texas was burned down in an apparent hate crime. The coach was prepared to stand by his players if they opted to boycott, but he encouraged them to play on, which they did.
We all needed to take a breath. You know, we needed a moment to breathe. It's not lost on me that George Floyd didn't get that moment, but we did, and we took it, and the players took it, and they got to refocus on the things that they wanted to focus on outside of their jobs.
Doc Rivers was becoming more than just a basketball coach.
Boxing's heavyweight champion was always considered the best in the world until Sugar Ray Robinson came along. Born Walker Smith Jr., he borrowed his friend Ray Robinson's birth certificate so he could fight at age 15 and was told he was sweet as sugar by an audience member. He became world welterweight champion in 1946 and only gave it up 4 years later when stepping up to middleweight, winning that title 5 times. His success introduced the concept of pound-for-pound rankings, and Sugar Ray is considered the greatest pound-for-pound fighter in history.
On the eve of the 2020 presidential election, Doc Rivers recognized that circumstances had amplified his voice. He was now much more than a senior basketball coach.
I'm coming up to you as your coach today. How about that? So I want you to understand this. We're in the 3rd quarter. The 4th quarter is Tuesday. We have to close the game on Tuesday. And it doesn't matter how long you have to wait in line. Don't leave that line Tuesday. If you're there for 1 hour or 2 hours or 3, don't leave that line. You stay the course. We're winners, right? We are winners, right? Well, winners don't give in. We're not gonna be bullied. We're not gonna be scared. No one's gonna scare us.
But even after closing the game in the 4th quarter, the result was almost dragged into overtime during the storming of the Capitol on January 6.
Could you imagine today if those were all black people storming the Capitol and what would have happened? The symbolism of storming the Capitol without force done to them, you know, if you're a black American, it definitely touches you in a different way.
Still, the indignities mounted. In April 2021, Rivers again used his platform to speak out against the fatal police shooting of Dante Wright in Minneapolis.
I think we got to stop saying it's frustrating for all black Americans. I think we should be frustrated by all Americans. You know, you keep hearing this cancel culture stuff, but, you know, we're canceling black lives. And I think, to me, that's a little, you know, more important, in my opinion, and it just keeps happening.
In 2022, Rivers became only the 10th coach to celebrate more than 1,000 wins in the NBA. But his presence on the sideline remained as vital as ever, and his forays into the media continued to land. At a stormy passage in American history, Doc Rivers demonstrated leadership, sagacity, and courage. He will go down a legend for his coaching excellence, but his impact will stretch far beyond basketball.